September 7th, 2017. You're scrolling through your phone, maybe checking stocks, maybe ordering a pizza. Then, a news alert stops you dead. Equifax hacked. Sent Karen Sep million Americans affected. Your heart sinks. It was the moment the quiet apocalypse of the cybercrime documentary began for nearly half the country. But the headline didn't tell you the real story. The hackers weren't caught that day. They had been inside for 76 days watching, downloading, taking everything. Your social security number, your date of birth, your addresses, your driver's license, all gone. And the company protecting this data? They had no clue. Their security chief had a music background, and their official response website accidentally directed victims to a phishing site. This was sheer incompetence. The most terrifying part, however, elevates this to a major internet mystery. The stolen data never appeared on the dark web. It never got sold. These hackers weren't after a quick score. They wanted something far more dangerous. So, how did the guardians of America's financial lifeblood fail this spectacularly? And who has your identity now? Waiting with 147 million American lives in their hands? That's the core question we seek to answer. Let's rewind to March 7th, 2017. An urgent alert lands in Equifax's IT department from the Department of Homeland Security. The message was clear. There is a critical vulnerability in Apache Struts, and it needs to be patched immediately. For those who don't know, Apache Struts is the invisible scaffolding holding up their consumer dispute portal, the exact place with direct access to all their sensitive data. That alert was the digital equivalent of handing hackers worldwide a skeleton key to the vault. Inside Equifax, chaos reigned. A 2015 audit had already found hundreds of unpatched vulnerabilities, but their patch process was just an honor system. Did you update your servers? Sure did, boss. With no verification or follow-up. Their cybersecurity was held together with digital duct tape. An employee finally ran a scan and patched most vulnerable Struts installations. Job done, right? Wrong. One server slipped through. Just one. This was an internet-facing portal with direct access to consumer data, the digital equivalent of leaving your front door not just unlocked, but wide open with a neon sign saying, "Rob me." Hackers don't sleep. Their automated scripts run 24/7, trying every door on the internet, constantly looking for that one single mistake. May 12, 2017, someone, somewhere, finds Equifax's open door. They slip inside without a sound, no alarms, no alerts. The monitoring system that should have screamed was dead. Its security certificate had expired months ago, and nobody bothered to renew it. The hackers simply walked into one of the 3 biggest credit agencies in America as if they owned the place. This failure shows how catastrophic organizational lapses enable large-scale cybercrime. Day 1. The hackers don't rush. Within hours, they strike gold. Employee administrative credentials. The absurdity here is stunning. One set of credentials was username, admin, password, admin. This is Equifax, the company that determines your financial future, using a password straight out of a 2003 Wi-Fi router. This level of negligence is a gift to any professional, state-sponsored actor. Now, wearing Equifax badges, the hackers become ghosts. They encrypt their searches, making their activity look like normal database traffic, even if someone was watching, which, again, no one was. They ran 9,000 queries, strip mining the data. They packaged the results into small, encrypted files, and then sent them out through 34 different servers across 20 countries. They repeated this every day for 76 days. That useless monitoring system was unplugged for 9 months because someone forgot to pay a simple bill. The hackers pulled an estimated 30 gigabytes of data per day. That's about 10 million people's complete identities daily. July 29th, 2017, day 76. An IT administrator is doing routine maintenance, finally renewing expired certificates. He updates the certificate on the monitoring system, and his screen suddenly explodes with alerts. He's staring at 2.5 months of theft happening in real time. His hands are shaking as he picks up the phone. But the horrifying question remains, if that certificate hadn't expired by accident, would they have ever noticed the breach? July 31st. The CIO delivers the news to CEO Richard Smith. We've been compromised. It's significant. Significant is like calling the Titanic a boating accident. Equifax hired Mandiant, the cybersecurity experts, and the FBI got involved, quietly codenaming the response Project Sierra. But here's where this cybercrime documentary takes a dark turn into corporate ethics. On August 1st and 2nd days after the breach discovery, but 5 weeks before the public knew 3 senior executives sold Equifax stock, they dumped nearly $1.8 million worth of stock combined. They claim they didn't know about the breach, and the FBI would eventually investigate it, but the timing is highly suspicious. Mandiant's findings were catastrophic: 147 million Americans compromised, along with credit card numbers and dispute documents. The hackers didn't just rob the bank, they took the blueprints. Equifax decided to announce the breach on September 7th, 6 weeks after discovery. 6 weeks of your data being potentially weaponized while you were blissfully unaware. When the announcement dropped, Equifax's stock immediately lost about $5 billion in value. Millions of Americans had to Google, "What is Equifax?" because they had never heard of the company that owned their financial existence. Their response website, https://www.google.com/search Q=Equifax Security2017.com, looked exactly like a phishing scam and asked for the last 6 digits of your already stolen social security number. The checker tool was reported to give random results. Unbelievably, Equifax's own Twitter account then tweeted the wrong fake phishing URL 8 times, directing 200,000 panicked consumers to a researcher's imposter site. Equifax managed to phish its own victims while responding to being hacked. The free credit monitoring they offered also included an arbitration clause, effectively making you waive your right to sue. After a public explosion, Equifax was forced to backtrack and remove it. This level of incompetence is the ultimate cautionary tale. 2 weeks later, the chief information officer and the chief security officer retired immediately. The CSO, who had a background in music composition, became the target of countless memes, underscoring the company's lack of serious investment in security. On September 26th, CEO Richard Smith announced his retirement, which came with a $90 million golden parachute. That's nearly $2 for every person whose data was stolen. He got rich while you got robbed. Smith faced Congress, where Democrats and Republicans united in their hatred. They grilled him about the unencrypted data and the security system being offline for 9 months. His answers were nothing but corporate word salad. 35. Meanwhile, 700 lawsuits accumulated. One class action sought $70 billion. Here's the truly disturbing element. The stolen data never appeared on the dark web, not a single identity for sale. This silence separated it from any typical dark web scam and led experts to whisper, what if this was a government, not a criminal job? In July 2019, Equifax settled. The $575 million minimum settlement was the largest ever. But when millions applied for the cash, the fund ran dry immediately. Most victims who applied for cash ended up getting around $7. $7 for your stolen identity, less than the price of a Netflix subscription. Equifax did spend $1.4 billion on security upgrades, doing everything they should have done years earlier. Their stock price fully recovered within 18 months. For Equifax, the breach was over. But for the victims, the paranoia is permanent. Every strange phone call, every suspicious charge, every financial hiccup, it's all potentially connected to that massive breach from 2017. 2.5 years pass. The trail went cold. Then, on February 10th, 2020, the Department of Justice dropped a bombshell that changed everything. Attorney General William Barr announced that the United States was charging 4 members of the Chinese People's Liberation Army with the Equifax breach. These weren't common criminals. They were military intelligence. The names were Wu Zhang, Wang Chen, Shu Qing, and Lu Lei, members of the PLA's 54th Research Institute. This wasn't theft. This was espionage. They stole your social security number, the blueprints to America's credit system, and everything needed to become you. This data trove, 147 million Americans, is the ultimate intelligence goldmine. It includes federal employees, military members, CEOs, and judges. This attack fit a documented pattern: the 2014 Anthem hack for medical records, the 2015 OPM hack for security clearances, and the 2018 Marriott hack for travel patterns. Stack them all together, and the Chinese military knows more about you than you know about yourself. They are building a massive, detailed digital dossier on America. The deputy director of the FBI promised to pursue justice, but the accused hackers are likely sitting in Beijing, untouched and probably promoted. They will likely never see a U.S. courtroom. The Equifax breach is the definitive case study in this cybercrime documentary. It proves that when your data is stolen, it is a matter of national security, not just a commercial issue. So, what can we, as digital citizens, take away from this catastrophe? We must evolve our defense against cybercrime and digital age crime. First, you must freeze your credit. This is the single most effective way to prevent criminals from opening new accounts in your name using your stolen data. Do not rely on Equifax's internal security. Second, the admin catastrophe proves the need to implement and enforce two-factor authentication, 2FA, on all critical accounts. If a password is the only thing protecting your data, you are exposed. Third, companies must learn the lesson of data minimization. The more data they store, the bigger the target they become. The focus must be on constant, internal security testing and relentless patching, something Equifax failed at so spectacularly. The attackers were not teenagers, they were a nation-state military. We must all anticipate military-grade threats from hostile actors who want to weaponize our identities. Equifax recovered, but the 147 million victims' lives are forever changed. The paranoia is permanent. This will happen again. Different company, maybe different country, but the same result. Your data will be stolen and stored, waiting to be weaponized. So, next time you apply for credit, remember, you are not just trusting that company with your data. You are trusting them to fight off military-grade attacks from nation-states who want to own your identity. That is the frightening reality of life in the digital age. How confident do you feel now? As a final thought, that Apache Struts vulnerability that started it all, it's still being used by thousands of companies today. Want to know something even more terrifying? While a foreign government was stealing your financial data, your own government was already collecting it legally. Check out our next cybercrime documentary special on Edward Snowden. He risked everything to expose the most shocking surveillance program in history and how your own government watches you more closely than any hacker ever could.